Welcome back, you Washington football maniacs. Big news today. The first domino has fallen for the Washington Commanders. But before we drop the big news, if you're not a member of the Washington football maniacs, definitely consider it. Man, we got a lot of good content, interviews, a lot of news, and a lot of, again, good content coming your way, especially the off season has just started. So free agency, the draft, more coaching hires, interviews coming up with potentially some players. You know what I'm saying? So definitely tune in, like, subscribe. Definitely let us know how we're doing and what you guys think about the subject matter tonight. Big news in Washington, D.C. The Washington Commanders have hired their general manager. Adam Peters, formerly of the San Francisco 49ers, is now the GM for the Washington Commanders. So the first domino has fallen. How you feeling, Greg? How big is this? And, man, obviously this is just the first step, but finally you see us on the road towards relevancy again.
Yeah, man. I tell you, I am feeling really good about this because honestly, Adam Peters was the top candidate for everybody, not just for the Washington Commanders, but for a lot of teams who are out there searching for their next general manager. He's very well respected. Not only for what he's done in San Francisco, but for what he's done in New England, Denver. He has helped to build Super Bowl champions, and so he's got a very good pedigree. I'm telling you, I'm excited because he knows how to build a winning franchise. Now, I was looking at some of the comments, some of the Twitter comments. There was one thing, yes, someone's going to knock him on, and that's the thing about, well, didn't he draft Trey Lance? And I'm like, yes, but guess what? Bobby Beathard also was the one who drafted Ryan Leaf.
Yeah.
And, Bobby Beathard is one of the best GMs in history, as far as I'm concerned. So, even the best is going to swing and miss every now and then. But for the most part, I'm extremely ecstatic and excited because I'm telling you what, it took 4 days for us to get Adam Peters on board. And also the fact that none of these top candidates would have even sniffed Washington if Dan Snyder was still here.
No.
That shows you how well respected this ownership group is. And so the fact that, again, Josh Harris said that he was going to be rapid and thorough with his choice and, his search and his choice with the GM. And I tell you, he did not lie to us. He did exactly that at, hiring the best coaching, or not coaching, but the best GM candidate out there, who now we can turn to hopefully hiring the best coaching candidate out there.
Absolutely, man. Look, I'm very excited because I love everything that's been done by this new ownership group. Josh Harris, Magic Johnson, I mean, Rails. I always forget it, man. No, no. I'm sorry about that, but I'm definitely excited, man, because you finally see the blueprint of this team heading back to being a relevant franchise again. Going from probably one of the most powerful organizations and probably one of the most powerful owners in Jack King Cook. People forget how powerful he was in DC. I mean, he had political ties. I mean, he had a voice in Washington, DC. And then, unfortunately, we had to sit through 20 plus years of Dan Snyder and that disaster where he kind of just destroyed all credibility, any political leeway. He just threw it in the mud. And now we have a owner who, one, knows what he's doing. Two, is putting in the time and the money to build this team. I mean, he's going out there, he's getting the best of the best. Now, I get it. There were a lot of good candidates. And I'm not saying that, he was the best out of the bunch. I mean, I think that most of them probably would have came in here and did a good job. But, I mean, I knew that as soon as Bob Myers was hired and you see the UCLA connection, I just knew that Adam Peters is going to be the guy. I mean, look, you are exactly right. His track record speaks for itself. And, his last assignment in San Francisco, what they've been able to build in San Francisco, it speaks volumes of, we both said, man, that, any job interview, they're looking at the resume. His resume is impressive. I mean, he's been a winner everywhere he's been. He's built a winner. He's had a hand in building a winner. So Josh Harris again has done all the right things. The interaction with the fans. Saying all the right things. Yeah, I mean, I get it. When you're talking about the fan base, man, it's just one of those things. For somebody who covers all the DC sports, man, there's interesting characters in each fan base when it comes to DC sports, man. And there's always that one guy that's unhappy. There's always that one guy that has the issue with it. But I think that 99.9% of the fan base is elated right now because this is the first domino. And another thing that Josh Harris did that I really, really like was hiring the GM before the coach. The GM is supposed to be that guy who hires the coach. Now we've seen, especially in DC sports, but lately, kind of flip flop. No, he's doing it the right way. The GM is the guy who's in charge of personnel. That whole model of head coach having a hand in personnel matters is gone, and it should never happen here in the first place. I think that was the biggest thing with Ron Rivera, and I had to go kind of back in time a little bit, but Ron Rivera, him just being a coach, I think he would have been all right. Him being an executive is what killed it because that was way too much for him. So now you have a guy who his exclusive job is to find personnel to implement in DC. And now he's going to be able to pick his own candidate head coach so they can go over the philosophy, how to bring in the right personnel for the right system. This is how you build a football team. You find the personnel guy, okay, and then he finds his guy, and then they work on the system, what they're going to do, and then he finds the right pieces for that. This is how you build a football team. So this is huge news, Greg. I am very, very happy because obviously first domino to fall, we got head coach. What do we do with coordinators positions? We do need a defensive coordinator. Do they retain EB? We'll see. A lot of decisions are going to come out these next couple of weeks, man, because a lot of subjects and questions are going to come up. How does the new general manager feel about Sam Howell? That's a major question, especially we're getting close to the draft, man. Obviously in April, man, but look, it's going to get here faster than you think. So, there's a lot of questions. How does he feel about Sam Howell? EB is a question, but we can finally be at ease, man, because they have laid the first brick on the road to being a really great franchise again, man. So I'm happy. I'm very, very happy with this move, man. Great move, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You know, I kept telling people in all of the other videos, I was like, be patient. Better things are coming. And one thing that people had to understand is that this ownership group took over during training camp. So there was nothing that they could really do about this season. We knew that this season was going to be for more or less a throwaway season.
Yeah.
And he pretty much said that he came out and said he was going to give Ron Rivera the entire season. So, what can you do? You can't really make all these major changes right during training camp. That's not going to happen. I know a lot of fans were like, okay, as soon as he got hired or as soon as he bought the team and the ink dried, he should have started firing people. No, you can't do that. There's no way you could have done that. So realistically, he did exactly what should have been done, and he did it with honestly, he did with respect. And I know that again, there's going to be people that are going to be like, nope, should have done things sooner. No, I disagree. He's doing everything exactly the way he should. Of course, now if you listen to Mike Flora and you listen to Thom, I call him Thom Lavaro, because I'm like, you can't even spell his first name right. It's supposed to be Tom. Just guys like that. And it's like Mike Wise, all of these guys who just, they can't hide their hatred for the Washington team, even after the fact that Dan Snyder no longer owns the team. They're still trying to dig up ways to, throw some negativity. Even with this hire, Pro Football came out and said, well, Washington hired a GM, even though they have a GM on the team already, and it's like, really? I mean, just give it a rest. You're just really reaching. You don't understand. This guy basically, yes, he's a general manager, but he's really going to be probably more or less the head of football operations. He's going to have maybe an assistant GM under him, and he's going to evaluate Martin Mayhew to decide if Martin Mayhew wants to be an assistant, basically he's going to be demoted, or if Martin Mayhew's going to be willing to just be cut loose and we're going to find somebody else. Now, I know somebody else was talking about maybe we can get Ian Cunningham in here as well. I don't think that that's going to happen. I mean, who knows? Maybe, but I think that Ian Cunningham, honestly, he no, I think he is not going to come here unless he knew it was a sure thing that it was going to be a Super Bowl next year. So I think we're very happy with Adam Peters. I think he's going to bring some good things to Washington. So now we start turning our attentions toward what is Peters going to do as far as bringing in a coaching staff or a head coach, basically. And of course, I know Brandon, you have people that are top on your list. And if we're looking at, I guess, the betting odds as far as who is going to become the next head coach, right now, everybody has Ben Johnson 2-1, and then of course after Ben Johnson, they have Bill Belichick at 3-1. And I'm like, have y'all not been paying attention to the local media who has been saying, the local beat reporters like John Cam, who, I mean, I don't know how much, louder he can scream it, saying that they are not interested in Bill Belichick whatsoever. So why are you continuing to talk Bill Belichick? But I know I have my favorites. Of course, both you and I are very, very much in line with wanting Ben Johnson. But who do you think that Adam Peters is going to wind up hiring?
Man, that's a good question because I mean, if you look at the list, I'm gonna go over the list real quick of the official interviewers or interviewees. That is, obviously Mike McDonald, defensive coordinator of the Ravens. You have Ben Johnson, coordinator for Detroit. Their defensive coordinator Aaron Glenn. Looking at offensive coordinator out of Houston, Bobby Slowick, and obviously Dan Quinn and Raheem Morris. Man, I mean, no, I know Harbaugh right now is getting a lot of buzz, but just the connections. I mean, if you look at the connections of the people that were brought in, I mean, again, Bob Myers, his connections to Adam Peters, and the connections. The other gentleman they brought in, he's got connections to Ben Johnson. So that's not by chance. I mean, this is what I'm saying. Josh Harris, and this is what people. I think that we kind of have PTSD in DC because we're so used to being under incumbent or really ineffective owners that we don't realize how good we have it. I mean, we have an owner now who, I mean, look, he has connections to the NBA, the NHL, now the NFL. I mean, he's doing it the right way. He knows what he's doing. I mean, he's lining everything up. And he did it quick because I mean, that's the thing, man. As far as the offseason, you need to move in and you need to move in fast because candidates will be gone in 5 days. I mean, teams will go out there and grab who they need. It's not like the way it used to be where all the teams waited till the Super Bowl ended. No, teams, as soon as that last regular season game ends, people are on the money. And he was quick on it, man. This is a good GM hire. Now, looking at it back to head coach, I'm going to say Ben Johnson. Now, would I be surprised just because of his name, his NFL experience, to kind of the allure and a lot of the bright lights because he just won the national title at Michigan? I could see Harbaugh. To a certain degree, I would not be surprised with Harbaugh, but I fully expect Ben Johnson. Now, there were sources that within and without the organization saying that maybe they were leaning towards a defensive-minded coach. So looking at that, as far as defensive-minded guys, if they go towards a guy who's a defensive coordinator, I'm going to say easy, man. Is going to be Mike McDonald. If they go defense, Mike McDonald's going to be the guy because I think he's done well in Baltimore. I mean, so if we're really trying to shift our attention to defense, that's the guy who I want rebuilding this defense, to be honest with you. So I think Mike McDonald will be the guy if they go towards the defensive side. But if you want to see what you can get out of this offense, especially Sam Howell, Ben McDonald, Ben McDonald, I'm adding 2 GMs, man. Ben Johnson would be the guy. So I think that really, if you look at it, this fan base should be very excited because not only do we have so many options, man, cap room, draft picks. I mean, either way, you really don't lose. You go get Mike McDonald from Baltimore, you don't lose. You go get Ben Johnson from Detroit, you don't lose because you have 2 guys who know what they're doing. I mean, 2 guys now, in the case of Ben Johnson, I mean, first time head coach, obviously the price tag, but I don't see Josh Harris saying no to that price tag, man. I mean, go get the best guy for the job. So, like I said, either way, we're good because either way, either the offense or the defense are going to be rebuilt. Now, so yeah, I mean, if we're going offensive mind, I'm going Johnson. If we're going defensive mind, I'm definitely going Mike McDonald. So we'll see, man. But like I said, I don't think we lose in this bid at all. I think that we are definitely he is definitely putting his franchise in position to relatively do an overhaul in one off season. Because look, he did say, "Look, I'm not really trying to rebuild. I'm trying to compete." And that was the words of Josh Harris. Look, he's trying to put a product on the field that's going to be able to compete in the NFC East, man. And if you look at other teams, the Giants, man, look, their coaching staff is starting to have arguments and fights in front of people. So there's a lot of stuff going on in New York as far as the Giants, man, where I think that, we talked about taking a step back. They obviously took a step back this year, but a lot of turmoil going on in New York. So Philadelphia, man, that collapsed, man. Some heads are going to roll in Philly. So I think this is the time where you go in, you make the right moves. We have the cap space. Go get what you need. You have the draft picks. Go get what you need. You have the opportunity to. You have a GM now. You can go hand pick a coaching staff and put the best guys in the position to be successful. This is the most excited I've ever been, man. And I've been a fan of this team, Redskins fan, football team fan, a Commanders fan, ever since I was old enough to know better. I was obviously a child under the Super Bowl era, but I knew that they won the Super Bowl. But I haven't been this excited since the Super Bowl era, man, because you have all the right pieces falling. GM is here. I'm excited to see him build this team. Ownership is here. I was excited to get Dan Snyder the heck out of DC, and now we're going to have the potential to get a brand new coaching staff. We have $90 million in cap space, and we still got 4 picks at the top 100 picks. I mean, this is going to be a very exciting all season for Commanders fans. So put your seatbelt on and enjoy the ride, man, because you're going to see a revitalized fan base. And I hope to see a lot more people next year at FedEx, and let's get this thing started right.
Now, very quickly before we wrap this up, because I know this is probably going to be another video on its own, but let's say, assuming that next couple of weeks or so, we wrap up our head coaching search, and let's say it is Ben Johnson. We got that in place. Ben Johnson has his coaching staff. We got our GM. Now we start turning our attention toward the off season, which means we're starting to look at who the free agents are going to be. We start looking at the draft. I was looking at something today, and I don't know how much of this is true. So forgive me, folks, if I'm starting rumors. But I just happened to notice that something with a Caleb Williams. It was something that I read about where he mentioned that he is looking to see if the Bears are interested in trading, because he really does not want to play for the Bears. He does not want the Bears to pick him. And so he's put a lot of pressure on the Bears to trade down. And now, meanwhile, of course, there's been some other talking heads who are saying that the Bears should trade down to Washington. Washington should give the Bears their number 2 pick plus their 36 and their 40 to trade up to number 1 to get Caleb. And of course, a lot of us are sitting here going, why would they have to trade up to get Caleb? If the Bears are happy with Fields, then they shouldn't have to do that. Just have Chicago picking, Harrison Jr. and be done with it. But then there's also the kind of thought of, would they be reaching, picking Harrison at first? And so it actually makes more sense for them to trade down to pick Harrison and allow one of these quarterback needy teams to be able to jump up ahead of us to pick a quarterback. But what do you think if you're Adam Peters at this point? You're already thinking about this at this point. Which do you think is going to be the better move? Because obviously we're going to need a quarterback, and if you're picking so high and you got 2 quarterbacks there that everybody thinks is going to be a sure thing, you forgive me for being pessimistic, but I've seen it so much of these high round, especially number 1, number 2 quarterbacks. I've seen it in all of my years, watching football, that it doesn't, a lot of times it doesn't work out. So, I mean, if you're Peters right now, do you actually make that trade up and you give up all of that? Because I feel like that those picks are necessary to help build this team, to maybe pick up a couple of linemen, or to get a tight end, maybe another all-star wide receiver to add to the list or something like that. And I feel like if you're going to trade up, and you're putting all your eggs in one basket to get Williams. I feel like that's counterproductive. But at the same time, if you have a team who's going to jump in front of you to get Williams, are we going to be happy with Drake May? So, what do you think that Peters is going to wind up doing?
What he will do and what I think he should do, I think are two different perspectives. What he should do is not draft Caleb Williams, and I'm gonna tell you why. Number one, you haven't played one down in the NFL. You don't dictate where you go. I mean and that's why we've seen this scenario before. RG3, when and that's why I thought it was funny when he tried to come out with a book talking about Survival Washington. You rode in a limousine with the owner to games. We've seen this treatment before. No, when you start seeing this is what rubs me the wrong way. I'm not going to go because of Chicago. You should feel blessed enough that you're going to be drafted in the NFL. Last time I kind of saw this, and this is why I never really liked this guy, Eli Manning. When he made the decision, I want to play in San Diego, and then he made a big fuss of it, and then he ends up going to the Giants. I've never respected Eli Manning because of that. You should feel blessed to be in the NFL. Oh, I'm not going to go because of Chicago, really? No, that to me that's a red flag. And I know I'm probably gonna get hit. I already know people are gonna get mad at me and say there's all kinds of reasons I'm saying this, but to me that's the wrong message. Because what power do you hold? I mean, you're a rookie. You have not played one down in the NFL, and you're telling me that you don't want to go to the NFL because you might go to Chicago. And Chicago, they don't need him. They already got a quarterback. Justin Fields, I think they're going to be all right with Justin Fields. So if he's going to have this whole attitude where, we'll be all right with Drake May, or if they want to go and they trade back and go with another quarterback, but that's where I'm at because that comment rubbed me the wrong way, and I never like seeing rookies act like that, especially in the NFL, where it's like, oh, I'm gonna see what happens and see where I want to go. You should feel blessed to be in the NFL. You should. This is that irks me. Oh, I'm just gonna see what's going on. I want to go to Chicago. You hold no cards. You're a rookie. We don't know what you can do. You right now. You are a college player. You have not played in the NFL 1 minute, and now you're doing dictate where you go. To me, it shouldn't be DC. Nah, get out of here. Because I want a guy who's just humbled to be in the NFL. A guy who wants to come in and work. A guy that is ready to earn his spot. This kid's acting like he's already earned it. This kid's already acting like he's already got the Rookie of the Year trophy. Nah, that rubbed me the wrong way. And I'm sure people are going to be upset with me and say, whatever. I mean, because the nature of the beast is this, man. I have an opinion and I analyze, man. And you ain't always going to love what I say. And look, that's your problem, not mine. So, to me, I'm not drafting the guy, man, because that's the wrong message. Just prima donna, this privileged attitude, like, oh, well, I'm gonna dictate where I go. Man, look, bye. Don't come to DC. I know he's from here and all that. Look, there's plenty of players who are from here, don't play here. Just because you're from here doesn't mean you need to play here. Look, Chase Young's from here, and you see how that ended up. So, yeah, that rubbed me the wrong way. And like I said, the last player that did that was Eli Manning. I just never liked Eli Manning for that, man. And I'm being 100% with you. I'm being very honest. It's because for you to use daddy to get out of going to San Diego was like, really? Come on, man. Like, what are we doing in the NFL? Like, so Caleb Williams, he can go wherever he needs to go, but he needs to stay out of Washington. What I think he will do, because I don't know if he feels the same way I do about the comment. They're going to go quarterback. Now he could say this. He could try to see if they can rebuild the line and go from there and see if they can, we never know. And I think we're going to get a clearer picture when he kind of lays out what his blueprint is as far as rebuilding the team. Because, he very well could come in here and say, look, I like his intangibles. I like what he can do. We'll rebuild the line, put some weapons around him, rebuild the defense, and we'll give him 1 year and then we'll go from there. But, we're not, this ownership, man, they're swinging for the fences. And for right now, they're hitting solo home runs out, man. This was a home run. This guy's going to rebuild a team because it's all about, especially in the NFL, it's all about pedigree. People talk about coaching trees and all that. Pedigree means something. This guy, he's going to rebuild his team. So, but yeah, I think they're going to swing for the fence to go quarterback, in my opinion. It could change, but Caleb Williams is definitely an option. I have my opinion, and in my opinion, I'm not trying to trash the young man. He definitely could play football. I love the makeup and how I love his intangibles. I love what I see. He seems like a humble young man, but those comments to me it speaks a little bit about character. And again, I'm not trying to trash the young man. I'm sure he helps old ladies cross the street. I'm sure he's swell, but to me, it's like the comment rubbed me the wrong way, Greg. So I'm hop off my stool, man, because I'm kind of on the ramble, man. But Yeah, I mean, to me, I'm a character guy, man. You know what I mean? It's like for a rookie to come, he's not even a rookie, he ain't been drafted yet. For a guy to come in and say, "Oh, I'm not going to go here because I don't want to." What? You should be humbled to be in the NFL. Like, yeah. So that's where I'm at, Greg. I'm just going to step down.
Yeah, I mean, I hope whatever I read turns out to be false because a lot of times you see this in social media, and then later on you hear, okay, that actually was not ever said. So, it was something that I had read, and then I'm like, okay, if in fact that he actually said that, which I think would be a boneheaded thing to say, then I'm like, I question, okay, his maturity for one thing, because, that was something that we had to deal with, rest his soul, Dwayne Haskins. I think that Dwayne Haskins had the tools, and I think, with the right coach, he could have probably been a really fantastic quarterback. But I think he had some maturity issues off field, unfortunately, that kind of hurt him a little bit. And unfortunately, just when we thought that maybe he was going to have a second chance in Pittsburgh, of course, we know what happened. But um, that's the thing for me. I want a quarterback who is mature. I know a lot of people love the idea of somebody who's cocky, and I, I just for me, I don't know. Maybe I've just loved the art monks of the NFLs, and the guys who are even tempered, and things like that, who just go out and do their jobs, and not always. Sometimes when I think you have the flashy players, the quarterbacks, wide receivers, or whatever. I mean, yeah, some of them back it up, and some of them are just flashy, and that's it. So for Caleb Williams, I'm like, if we do draft him, I'm going to support him. I'm going to hope that he succeeds, because we have him, same way with Sam Howell. I was supporting Sam Howell, and I would still like to see Sam Howell succeed, because I really like the young guy. But, if we do go out and get Caleb, I hope that it is because that they found something with him other than his skills, because we all know he has skills. We all know he has the athletic ability, but we got to know that he's got the intelligence, that he's got the maturity, because I think that's the biggest thing is maturity. You got to be able to have the maturity to lead this team, to be able to take that next step. And I hope the same for Drake May as well, because you know I don't know much about Drake May. I did watch him last year a little bit. I went to UNC games, so I got to see him personally play. I didn't get to see him much this year, but I did get to see him play a little bit, and so I know what he can do. And he's got a bigger body. I like the idea of drafting a quarterback that's bigger. He's very athletic as well. I know a lot of people are going to be like, well, he plays for UNC, so I don't want him. And I'm like, I don't get that either. What does it matter what team you play for? Is he NFL ready? That's what I want to know. How intelligent is he? Can he take on the emotional and the mental responsibilities of taking the next step? So those are the things that general managers and scouts are going to have to be able to decipher, and that's something that I'm going to be very interested with Adam Peters as he starts to look at his staff and filling out his staff and seeing who he brings along as scouts, who he keeps that's already there, and that's going to be the quality there, because it's not just going to be Adam Peters and nobody else. He's going to be having a scouting group that's really going to be doing a lot of the legwork. And those people are going to have to be able to report back to him on what they have and what they see. And a lot of those guys, and of course, him and the new coach is probably going to be at the combines and pro days and things like that. So I really want him and our new coach to make those educated decisions on what they feel like is going to be the best quarterback moving forward, or if they're going to be like, these guys are very talented, just don't know if they're worth that draft pick. let's trade down, let's pick up multiple draft picks because it's still worth it to us to be able to, you know, go in and pick up a lot of able body who are ready to probably come in, rotate, or start right away, and to really build up this team. And like I said, we haven't even started talking free agency yet. We're going to have some uh, videos on free agency. There are some quarterbacks in free agency, and who knows. So, folks, but anyway, yeah, I just had to ask that question because that's going to be the next thing on people's minds of what will Adam Peters do with that. Once that the Ben Johnson thing has been settled, because we all feel like that's who's going to be the next head coach. Who knows? But as soon as the head coach thing has been settled, then everybody's going to start talking free agency and the draft. So, and I'm like I said, I know that Adam Peters is probably already thinking of the draft already. He probably already has a list of free agents that he wants to look at. So it's going to be interesting to see how he builds this team. It's very exciting. Very exciting indeed.
Oh, very, very exciting. Like I said, if they indeed draft Caleb Williams, I'm behind him 100%. He's my quarterback. He's got my support. So, like I said, I brought that up and I was very honest about that assessment as far as him trying to dictate where he's going. And like I said, I guess there was previous comments made last year where he said, depending on where he is slated to be drafted, he may stay at USC because of the NIL money. And to me, it was like, but I think it's very minor. I mean, I think he definitely is a good quarterback. I definitely think he can come in here and do a great job and lead his team. So I think we have options. So yeah, like I said, whether it's Caleb Williams, whether it's Drake May, whether it's Penix, whether it's whoever, they have my support. So I think that the fan base is very exciting time to be a Washington Commander fan right now. And all the haters, man, yeah, there's haters, but here's the thing: if you're gonna have haters when you're doing something right, or when people are like vultures circling around you watching for your downfall. People, look, here's the thing, but I'm saying this before we roll out. People know how powerful this team used to be, and they realize this team's going to be powerful again. So, they have something to say. And, if you don't like us, don't watch us. Don't comment on us. If you got something to say that says, look, that says something about you, not us. So I think we're ready to roll. And I definitely think there are brighter times ahead. So we're going to go ahead and roll. Very important time for us as a fan base, but the first domino has fallen. So definitely comment below. Let us know how excited you guys are and who is your choice for head coach. And again, if you're not a member of Washington Football Maniacs, you have to definitely consider becoming a member because we have fun on here, man. We're giving you guys up to date analysis and news and what's going on with the Washington Commanders. And like I said, we're gonna have a lot more interviews, a lot more guests on the show. I'm getting into the offseason, doing a lot of videos on free agency as far as by position, looking at the draft, mock draft. So very good and exciting time for you to be a member of the Washington Football Maniacs. So I hope everybody has a blessed weekend. It is your host, Brandon Scott, and my guy, Greg Sykes. And we will see you guys next time. And any news pops out, look, if the head coaching decision is made this weekend, we will holler at you guys this weekend. So we will definitely be the first on the scene to let you guys know what's going on with the Washington Commanders. So hail to the Commanders and peace. See you guys next time.
Peace.